dating back to the 4th century BCA, BCE. Even Aristotle, the famous Greek philosopher and scientist, go about his experiment involving medical procedure on living animals. Since then, animals have been used extensively in testing various medical treatments throughout the world. One of the most dramatic instances of animal medical testing was Dr. Jonas Salk's discovery of a vaccine for polio in the early 1950s. At the time, polio was one of the most feared diseases, killing thousands every year and affecting many times more, with those lucky enough to survive often left with severe disabilities. Before testing his vaccine on humans, Salk experiment on rhesus monkey, purposefully exposing them to the virus in order to determine if they had been made immune by the vaccine. Once available to the public, Salk's vaccine was a massive success and being creditable. No, I can read. Once available to the public, Salk's vaccine was a massive success and has been credited with saving countless lives. Despite the benefit of the medicines and procedures that have been tested on animals, some have argued that the end do not justify the means. Opponents of animal medical testing condemn the pain and torment inflicted on test subjects, which are often purposefully infected with disease, given massive doses of toxic chemical, or exposed to harmful conditions. Additionally, laboratory animals are often put down after the completion of the study in which they were involved. For generations, figures both inside and outside the medical community have urged that these procedures are unethical and that regulation must be put in place, or if they are already extant, made more rigorous. It was in 1866 that the first law, especially regulating experimentation of animals, was enacted in the UK. The Cruelty to Animal Act 1876. Under the Cruelty to Animal Act, research could only perform painful procedure on animals if the experiments were absolutely necessary in order to save or prolong human life. However, opponents of vivisection saw this early law as weak in its regulatory force, as it established no restriction on the license of those qualified to carry out animal experimentation. Consequently, medical students continued to campaign for legislation better mandating human treatment of laboratory animals, although the act was not replaced or significantly modified until over a century later, when the Animal Scientist Procedure Act 1986 was passed. However, animal experimentation in certain forms has continued at a, as has its opposition. The reason for its persistence is clear. When done on animals, medical tests are often at the stage where toxicity and other side effects are still unknown. Hey, proponents of animal testing in research urge that using people at this early stage could endanger human life. B. Additionally, animal testing allows research to strictly control the subject environments and monitor all conditions to which they are exposed. C. This level of control ensures that researchers are able to isolate the effects of the studies treatment independent of unknown environmental factors, which would not be possible in tests involving humans. D. Perhaps the strongest contention from those in favor of animal medical testing is that the technique has saved countless lives, as in the case of the polio vaccines. Albert Sabin, one of the researchers working with Dr. Sal in 1950, has said has said that without animal research, polio would still be claiming thousands of lives each year. Another commonly cited explained lies in the work of Dr. Albert Starr, whose success in replacing faulty human hairs while vaults after experiment on dogs' hairs in 1960. This procedure was far too risky to have been performed on humans before the technique was perfect. Currently, around the 300 million people receive hair valve replacement surgery each.
¿Cuánto? Sorry. All right.
Surgery each years, allowing them to live longer and healthier life. As alternative testing techniques have yet to reveal that the efficacy shown by animal testing. In such historical medical milestone, the practice has persisted despite continued controversy. Finish
Ok, so vamos a considerar.
with
¿Gustas leerlo de nuevo mientras o quieres uh, tus, ver tus notas si requieres?
sí, podemos leerlo de nuevo. Estoy he apuntado una cosita. Animals are often used in the testing of medicines and medical procedures prior to try environment humans. Scientists test of the efficiency and safety of the treatment using animals to simulate the possible effect on humans. This method of testing treatment has been employed for over 2,000 years, with the early known referred to animal testing dating back on the 4th century BCE. Even Aristotle, the famous Greek philosopher and scientist, wrote about his experiments involving medical procedures on living animals. Since then, animals have been used extensively in testing various medical treatments throughout the world. One of the most dramatic instances of the animal medical testing was Dr. Jonas Salk's discovery of the vaccine for polio in early 1950. At the time, polio was on the most feared disease, killing thousands every year and infecting many times more, with those looking in order to survive often left with the several disability. Entonces, according to the paragraph 1, research used animal medical testing to discover possible drug bug medicine to be used on animals, to later be used to develop aid for people suffering from disability, explore the effect of experimental medical treatment. The second one, discover a sign that could be later be used on human.
Alright, so para este primer párrafo, so, si gusta hacer una nota como un resumen de lo que viste o lo analizaste, detalles, tal vez paragraph 1, We talked about this. We mainly talked about such thing. So you can have it as paragraph one,
Okay.
and then paragraph two you do the same.
Okay. Despite the benefit of the medicine of procedure that have been tested on animals, some have urged at the end they don't justify the main opponents of the animals. The animals, some have urged the end to don't justify the means opponents of animal medical testing condemn the pain and torment inflicted of the subject, whereas often purposefully infected with disease, given massive dose of toxic chemical, or exposed to harmful conditions. Additionally, laboratory animals are often put down after the completion of the study in which they were involved for generations, figure both inside and outside the medical community have urged that this procedure of unethical and the regulation must be put in place if they are already extended made more rigorously. Okay. Uh, the answer of the to according to paragraph one is the second.
All right. So which one?
It's the second one.
Second one. Okay.
To see as,
Actually, explore the effects of experimental medical treatments.
but the paragraph one said use animal for testing because uh, animals have been used extensive in testing various medical treatments throughout the world. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or let's watch see what we can. How do you find that?
Okay.
The key word in this question is very small. This word to, and actually the word use is also important. The word to here shows that this is about the purpose of this use. Why they use it. Why do researchers use animal testing? So we need to find that purpose in paragraph 1. And if we look quickly at paragraph 1, we see that a lot of this is really about specific people. It's about Aristotle here, and then it's about Dr. Jonas Salk here. And most of this paragraph is not about the general usage of animal testing, but about some of the history of that testing. The beginning of the paragraph is more likely going to have our answer, because this is where our more general discussion of animal testing is introduced. So here, let's look for a reason why. And as we read through, we find this too, and again, using, that introduces a reason why this treatment, why these experiments are done on animals. And this too is used in the exact same way that the to in our question stem was. That is, it gives the reason. It means in order to. Okay, so now let's look through the answer choices and try to find something that matches this statement to simulate the possible effects on humans. So, to show what the effects of these treatments might be on people using animals first. And A is very tempting because discovering the drawbacks is why we use animal testing. But notice the very end of this sentence, to be used on animals. And this to be here shows a type of future tense. It shows what will happen to these animals. This medicine is going to be used on animals, in other words. Now, used on animals is not true. We use the animal testing in medicines and medical procedures prior to trials involving humans. So before using humans. They are not medicines for animals. The animals are just in the testing. So that doesn't work. It should be for people here. B, discover vaccines. I already see a problem here. This is very specific. And it's tempting because Dr. Jonas Salk did discover a vaccine, but that's not about all animal testing. That is about one person. So this is too specific and incorrect. Develop aids for people suffering from disabilities is too specific. Also, the disabilities could use some animal testing possibly, but what about sickness? What about disease? Disability is like, for example, if you can't walk. But a disease, like having a cold or a flu, is not a disability. But diseases might be what people research on animals for. These medicines are possibly not for disabilities, but for diseases. C is too specific. D is the only one that works. Explore the effects of experimental medical treatments matches perfectly, trying to find the effects of these experimental medicines. So D is the answer.
Okay, so that's how answer. I mean, I could see how you would, you came up with this idea as mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
we can, you know, this is the more detailed. So
Yes.
yeah, let's try next question. All right, so here we have the word dramatic in paragraph 1 is closest in meaning to what word? So right, you have to want to analyze each one and see which one fits best.
One of the most dramatic instances of animal medical testing was Dr. Jonas's discovery of the vaccine for polio in the early. One of the most dramatic instances of animals medical. One of the most mm, complex.
Okay, so complex for dramatic. What does complex mean?
Com- complex is mean why complejo.
Right.
One of the
So let's
most complex instant of animal. Sí, complex.
all right. So let's look for the complex for the word complex meaning. It means consisting of many different and connecting parts. A group of similar, like for example, a group of similar buildings or facilities on the same site. Be complex to make or form a complex with other. In
Mm,
Spanish, it would mean compleja o complejo,
ujú,
complex.
complejo.
So one of the most dramatic. What does dramatic mean?
Como eh, dramático, como es
Hmm. Sí, dramatic.
drástico, dramático.
Dramatic, right? So relating to a drama or performance or study of drama, such things like that. So which one would best fit? It wouldn't be complex, would it?
One of the most dramatic.
What do you think about entertaining? What does it mean?
Entretenido, divertido, no, detenido,
Entertaining.
agradable.
So yeah, providing amusement or enjoyment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
entretenido.
mm,
What about
one of
striking?
the, no, striking is llamativo.
No sería dramatic.
Mm, impactante, impresión. Yeah, striking, the first word.
Okay. All right. So we want to analyze each one, and we got
Sorprendente.
striking. Yeah, striking. There you go. Okay, very good. So let's try our next question.
The subject.
All right. So the phrase test subject in paragraph 2 refers to what?
Mm, opponents of animal medical testing condemn the pain and torment inflicted on test subject. The phrase test subject in the paragraph refers to opponents of animal medical testing. No tengo unas palabritas aquí yo. Mm, presentación. Opponents of animal, está hablando de los que se oponen. Opponents of medical testing.
Okay.
What is the phrase test subject? Opponents.
Appointments.
So dice, opponents of animal medical testing condemn the pain and torment inflicted on test subject. Está hablando de
So
los
what does it mean? Opponents.
opponents. Los opponents son los opositores.
Mm,
Opositores o sí, opositores. O, o los que no están. Sí, los que se oponen a esto. Dice, opponent of animal medical testing. Dice. Los que se oponen a la experimentación médica con animales. Dice. Eh, condemn, o sea, condenan the pain, el dolor y Torment inflate. Torment inflate. Lo y las, ni causa. Y el tormento causado a test subject, o sea, a los sujetos,
Okay,
o
so
sea, opponent, o laboratory animals.
aquí dice opponents of animal medical testing conditions retain and determine infected on test subjects. So, which are often postly infected. So, ¿qué eran los test subjects?
Los subjects son las pruebas
Yeah, that's right. So, ¿de qué test subjects habla paragraph 2?
of the animals. Despite the benefit of the medicinal procedure had been tested on animals.
Okay.
So laboratory animals.
Sería laboratory animals.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good.
According to the paragraph 2, all of the following can happen to animals used in medical testing, except of all of the following can happen to animals. They can be killed when no longer need. They can be made ill. They can be personally injured. Starting with the library. Disorder. And those give massive dose toxic chemical response to condition. The combination is with their environment for the figure both inside and outside the medical community. The second one, they can kill us when not longer needed.
All right. So they can be
Or pursue.
supposedly injured. Purposely injured. Okay. Let's see.
What happens to these animals in the tests? Well, there's a list in the middle of this paragraph in the second and third sentences. Here, after pain and torment, we see often purposefully infected with diseases, given massive doses of toxic chemicals, or exposed to harmful conditions. So here are three possible answers. Not answers, but wrong answers, because they are in the text. 1, 2, 3. And there's one more. Additionally, they are often put down after the completion of the studies. So here's a fourth one. Now we have four possible wrong answers here. The infection with diseases, again, toxic chemicals, harmful conditions, and put down. This actually means, sometimes we say put to sleep, but this is not actually sleeping, it is killed. We only say the words put down or put to sleep when we are talking about animals, and specifically domestic animals, not wild animals, not animals in nature, but animals that are in buildings, in in this case, laboratories in medical testing, but you could use this about a pet dog, for example, if the dog is old and you need to, well, to put it to sleep. That's what we use. We say put down or put to sleep. So they are killed. And we can find 3 of those in these answer choices. First, exposed to dangerous substances matches the toxic chemicals. Chemicals and substances share a meaning. They can be killed when no longer needed, matches put down. They can be made ill, matches the infected with diseases part. And D, the correct answer, is not in the text, especially because of this word purposelessly. So that means there is no reason. And this says they are hurt, they are injured for no reason. But in reality, this text is only talking about the medical testing, which does have a reason. So to say that it is purposeless, that there is no reason, would be incorrect. D is the answer.
Okay. So purposely no reason. So pull down is a saying of the series kill.
Hmm. Okay. So yes, that's what he meant.
So proponents of animal testing in research urge that using people at this early stage could endanger human life, harm treatment, safe change.
So which one?
Are proponents of animal testing in research urge that using people at this early stage could human life. The second treatment, threaten.
Treatment. All right, good. So, so- okay, so according to paragraph 4, researchers must monitor the environments of animal in medical testing in order to what?
Research must monitor the environment of animal in medical tests in order to be certain that the observed effect will cause by a treatment given protect human from being exposed for toxic substance. Increase the quality of animal living environment. Tests the animals respond to the site they have been exposed to. The first one, be certain that the observed effects were caused by the treatment given.
Okay. Okay. Good. Right. So we have the word contention.
Perhaps the stronger contention from those in favor of animal medical testing is that the technique has saved quantity life, as in the case of the polio vaccine. The word contention. Mm, argument?
Okay. Go for argument. Why argument?
Should be perhaps the stronger contention from those in favor of animals medical testing is that the technique has saved countless lives. Yeah, so, observation no, evidence maybe, benefit no, benefit of benefit, perhaps the stronger benefit from those that the technique has saved countless lives. In the case of polio, as I or benefit.
Okay. Fits. Okay. So you're right for the argument.
Argumento. Because
So you were right. Yeah, you were
yeah,
right with the argument. Okay.
okay, argument. According to the paragraph, Dr. Albert started experimenting on dog's hair because the disease he was stating has to after dose to experiment. What is the meaning after dose?
The where?
In the first one, the procedure he was stating was to after dose.
Hazardous to experiment. Como muy difícil.
The third one. No. Hmm.
Okay, so the process.
Why si dice aquí dice? No, esta es una pregunta trampa. Pero,
Okay.
dice explanation.
Let's look for experimenting on dog hearts as our keywords, and keep in mind we are looking for a reason. So the reason for dog hearts, and we find as we go through all this about Salk, nothing about dog hearts, and then we get to Dr. Albert Starr, and we see dog hearts here. Okay, so this man succeeded in replacing faulty human heart valves after experimenting on dog hearts. So, why did he experiment on dog hearts? Well, he did it because this procedure was too risky to have been performed on humans. That is the reason why. And then after this, we have the effect, the consequence, and that effect actually only goes for just one more sentence. This is about more general information that is not helpful for the dog hearts. So we really have to take our answer from here, not from the effect actually, or the consequence, but from why he did it here. He did it because it was risky. And that matches A. Too hazardous is the same as too risky. It was a dangerous experiment to do on humans, so he did it on dogs first. B, he was a strong advocate of animal medical testing. There is nothing in this text about whether he agreed with or disagreed with animal testing. We know he used animal testing, but maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he disliked it and he wanted other ways to test, but he had to. It's not very clear. There's nothing about Dr. Starr being an advocate here. So we can take away B as an incorrect answer. C, the valves of a dog's heart can function as replacements for human heart valves. This mixes up two things. This is after experimenting on dog hearts, then he replaced human heart valves. So these are separate. First it was dogs, then it was people. He did not put dogs' hearts into people. That does not work. That doesn't make sense. D, he was concerned about environmental factors influencing his experiments. This is similar to a detail in the previous paragraphs about environmental factors, but it is not mentioned in this paragraph. There is nothing about other factors. There is nothing about the dangers of the environment or anything like that. All of this does not include anything about environmental factors or influences. So D is outside this paragraph, not correct. A is the answer.
Okay, so we can get that more clear, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's try one more question. All right.
Look at the four squares in paragraph 4 that indicate where the following sentence could be added to the passage. The animals are often watched around the clocks and given daily examination. Where would the sentence fit best? A. Proponents of animal testing in research urge that use people at this early stage could endanger life. B. Additionally, animals testing allow research to tightly control the subject environments and monitor all conditions to which they are exposed. This level of control ensures that researchers are able to isolate the effect of the studied treatment independent of known environmental factors which would not possible in test environment humans. D. Perhaps the stronger contention from those in favor of animal medical testing is that the technique has saved a countless life. Mm, the animals are often watched around the clocks and given daily examination. Letter B.
Okay. And why B? Why do you think B?
Because this the clubs are given daily examination. So letter B, because animal testing allows research to tightly control the subject environment and monitors all conditions to which environments and monitor all conditions to which they are exposed. Because the doctor examine all conditions.
Okay, we'll go with that one then. Alright, so it's actually C. Let's just see one brief explanation. Alright.
This level of control ensures that the researchers are able to isolate effects. Okay.
To answer this, we're going to use a few different clues. First, I noticed that the animals refers back to some animals in a previous sentence because of the word the. The tells us that this subject, this topic, is something that has already been talked about. That is, we already know which animals. So in a previous sentence, it should tell us which animals. So this will come after something else about animals. And for our next clue, we should think about the greater meaning of this sentence. These animals are watched around the clock, so they are watched very much. Why are they watched? We should have some context for the purpose of this and what this means, why the author wants to say this. Now, the other clues are actually in the text, because if we look at this paragraph, we find a couple of words and phrases that link things together. Notice, for example, additionally. Additionally should combine two different ideas or two different facts that have the same underlying meaning, or that they bring the same conclusion. So we actually see that in sentence B, we have information, or well, the sentence after B, we see information about how researchers can control during animal testing. And before that, we saw that animal testing research would be dangerous using people. So these are two separate reasons why animal testing is good, or two benefits of animal testing, and additionally combines them together. Now, I'm going to skip through the choice of A and go to B here to show how this sentence now does not fit because of that word additionally. This is about how animals are watched. It doesn't clearly relate to this previous concept that people in animal testing or in testing would be dangerous. This is about watching animals, and this is about danger to humans. So this doesn't really work because it doesn't relate to this topic, which means saying additionally here does not really make sense referring back to this sentence. So B cannot be correct. Let's go back to A, and we see a similar but more subtle problem, a smaller problem. This time the problem is that these early stages has the word these, and it must refer to, just like the, something we already know. What are these early stages? Which early stages? Well, that is back here. The answer to which early stages is in this sentence here, where we see medical tests are often done at the stage where toxicity and other side effects, blah, blah, blah. So this stage is what is being referred to down here. Putting this sentence in the middle would be confusing, because now these early stages are separated from the sentence which explains which early stages. And this is not about those stages. It says nothing about the toxicity or the medical tests. It only talks about watching the animals. So it's unrelated to those two sentences and can't go in between them. Just like we could not go in between the sentences around B. C, on the other hand, makes more sense. Here we have the animals referring back to subjects, and these subjects are the subjects of animal testing. And we see that they're watched around the clock, similar to monitored. They are monitored very carefully, and monitor means watch. So now the topic makes sense, the word the animals makes sense, and we are not separating sentences before and after see, which need to stay together. In fact, this is all on the same topic level of control, watched, monitored. They are all on the same topic of watching the animals, so it makes sense here. D, meanwhile, is a little bit strange because we have here something very specific, but here this was a more general reason, a more general explanation, which gave a nice conclusion to the paragraph. It says why we do this, and it brings back the idea of tests involving humans. And then here we come to a very specific detail about watching animals closely. It seems strange to have specific details come out to a general idea and then go back to specific details about that process. So this does not conclude the paragraph well. It doesn't finish the paragraph well. It's much better to finish the paragraph with this sentence, which gives us a big main point near the end. So, of those four, we choose C as the correct answer.
Okay, so that was a quite well explanation, long too.
Sí, yeah.
All right, no problem. So keep practicing. You got a lot better. Yesterday was maybe a good start, but we had maybe let reading it twice, helps a lot.
Yes, yes. Okay.
All right. Okay. So we'll leave it off here. So I'll see you tomorrow, right?
See you tomorrow, teacher.
All right. And I'll let you know. Let me see. What's our last class together? Or maybe was it today?
Um, Tuesday.
Tuesday is our last.
Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, let me check 1 second.
No, Friday?
Mm,
Friday, I
oh,
think so.
23 de junio. No, no, no.
Um,
A ver, dice. Debe estar terminado todo el libro 4. Si el módulo A está enfocado en reading y listening, writing, listening. A ver, terminamos el 15 de julio.
yeah, 15.
Terminaremos el 15, todavía falta. Okay. El jueves, um, ¿podrías a las 10 o 11?
Jueves. Sí, estaría bien a las 11.
11. Ok, las 11. Alright, muy bien. Y mañana, ¿puede ser la misma hora de hoy? ¿Mañana?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
O si no, a las 12, si es posible.